Welcome to the Build Your Coaching Business Around the 9 to 5 podcast. I'm your coach, Pamella Pritchard, and I help you go from employee to business owner. Whether you're creating your first client or learning how to create clients on repeat whilst holding down your day job, I'll help you make your business dreams a reality. Let's begin. So today I want to talk about comparison because the topic has come up both in my own business and with my clients. And it was actually with a client discussion recently that reminded me of the growth that I've personally had when it comes to not comparing myself anymore in my business, staying in my own lane, enjoying my path, being able to celebrate other people fully, and not having any hint of jealousy, envy, comparison in my body when I see other coaches absolutely smashing it. Because my client came to me a couple of weeks ago and said to me, gosh, one of my business besties is doing something that I want to be doing. I had this idea. I hadn't come to you yet about it. I hadn't executed on it. My biz bestie has gone ahead and started a free challenge, and she has now been watching her promote that challenge. She looks like she's smashing it. And my client was having thoughts about that, and it really creeped up on her. So when she brought it to the table, we dove into it. We looked at the energetics behind that, the embodiment behind that, and there was so many beautiful shifts, and there was so much room for growth. And again, it came up just this week when inside one of the group containers that I enjoy as a client, one of my coaching peers announced that she had signed a client into her program called Messaging Mastery Mini Mind. Now, those of you who know me and have been with me for a while, you will know that I also have a program called Messaging Mastery Mini Mind. And it didn't even cross my mind. Like I saw it, I thought amazing, celebrated her for her new client. And then over the course of the time that she's been promoting it and she's been signing clients, it's been wonderful to see that journey just flourish for her, to see her grow, to see her signing clients, to see the program, to see how she's promoting it. It's been there in the peripheries. And then my client brought it back to the table, shared an update on her progress with this comparison journey that she's been on, this awareness of being in collaboration, being in celebration, staying in her own lane. And it reminded me so powerfully of what it can really look like when comparison doesn't even come into your sphere of awareness. And so I wanted to share the story today as an example of a very visceral before and a very visceral after of what it looks like when you are no longer on the comparison train, when you stop comparing your journey to anyone else's in the coaching industry. Because the truth is, I wasn't always at this stage. If even 2 years ago, messaging mastery didn't exist 2 years ago, but say it did. And one of my peers, one of my fellow coach business companions who decided to come to the table with her own version of messaging mastery, I would have gone through a comparison spiral as well. And it would have been very detrimental to my business, as it was in a very sneaky way for my client until we were able to identify and nip it in the bud. And I want to share that with you because it's in my design that sharing my stories is incredibly valuable for my clients. So I'm happy to share this with you. And it's interesting because until my client brought her comparison story to the table, the truth is it didn't even come into my sphere of awareness to be something worth talking about, because that's the point. When you are moved through something, when you are fully healed from something, it just becomes a natural part of you that it doesn't even cross your mind for it to be something to actually communicate, to celebrate, to use as an example. And that in and of itself is one of the challenges when it comes to being fully embodied, because it's so natural to you, because it's a natural part of your genius. It doesn't always come to light very easily that you should be talking about it, that they are opportunities for storytelling. So that's a little side note, something for you to just bear in mind when it comes to the breakthroughs that you're having. Many of my clients at the moment are, at the time of this recording, I've just realized it's 2:22. Love it. At the time of this recording, it's August, and It's Business Breakthrough Month. Business Breakthrough Month is a month where me and my one to one clients really focus on being in the energy of living in breakthrough. So, if that sounds exciting to you, go check out my previous episode called Living in Breakthrough, and you can do it along with us. And if you want my support to celebrate you and help you identify the breakthroughs you are having, especially when you're so embodied you don't even realize that you're doing it. You'll love being one of my one-to-one clients. So come book your consult and we can see how business breakthrough can support you in your business. But it came up as a breakthrough for me. I realized, oh my gosh, my comparison journey is one of my own personal breakthroughs. So I'm so excited to share this with you because I know that it will be for you as well. At the beginning of my journey, 4 years ago, when I started my coaching business at the time of recording, comparison was a big issue for me. I don't like to admit this. I don't think any of us like to admit this, but I jumped into the coaching world. I was all so for it. It's just who I was. I knew that when I found it, it was just right. I knew this was where I meant to be, hence why it's still where I am and where I still love to vision my future. And then I would look at other coaches, I would look at people within my certification, and I would compare myself with how quickly they were certifying versus how quickly I was certifying. I would compare the challenges that they were bringing to the table, and I'd think, oh my gosh, how is it that they're working through this? How is it that they're celebrating these things? And I'm nowhere near celebrating that. I would then go to social media and then I would see my peers, even coaches who were in the industry for like 2, 3, 5, 10 years, and they would be doing big, beautiful things in their business. They would be doing challenges, freebies, uh, releasing new programs, releasing group programs, starting masterminds, doing a podcast, doing webinars, doing email lists. And I'll be like, oh my God, like I'm lucky if I can show up once a week. That was me at the very beginning of my business. And I would compare myself to them and go, what's wrong with me? Am I ever going to get there? Why am I not good enough? Why isn't this happening for me? What have they got that I don't seem to have? And it was so insidious and it would show up every time I was on social media. Naturally, I was on social media a lot back then because I was consuming. I was just learning how to create. I was just getting used to being in the rhythm of being a person of influence, of being somebody that would even go online and share my story. So if you're at the very beginning of your journey, let me know if this resonates and let me know in the DMs, drop me a message. Let me know if this is like, okay, this is where I am. This is what's happening in my business. And I'm feeling a little bit caught out, but I'm also feeling very seen right now because I'm going to show you how to move through this and how to move forward. Now, for my coaches who have been in the game for a while, maybe you've got used to being visible. Maybe you're used to showing up. Maybe you are posting 3 to 7 times a week. Maybe you are actively selling. Maybe for you, you even had freebies, you've had workshops, you've had challenges. Maybe you've even got your email set up, you're selling one to one, you get the odd clients. They do come through when you're on it, when you're really like driving it, when you're really pushing it, when you have the energy, when you've got the drive, the motivation, the inspiration. Things are moving in your business, but maybe not at the pace you would like. Maybe not at the ease that you would like. Maybe you see that it's a bit more of an emotional roller coaster. Your business performance seems to closely match your emotional capacity. So, on the days where your all systems go, everything's firing, everything's working, you're feeling good, you're energized, you maybe got a sale in, things feel easy, the flow is there, you can see how it's possible for you. You're thinking, oh my gosh, if it could just stay like this, it would be like this and it would continue and I'd be happy and I'd be full time and everything would be sunshine and roses. And you're very attached to it being that way, and you're not yet at the level of emotional capacity to be able to know how to navigate showing up in your business with the same level of potency, intellect, wisdom, and power, even when you're not feeling the energy. That is where most of my clients tend to come to me, or where they get to when they stay with me and they're renewing for the second, third, fourth time. That for you is this is where I really think the conversation gets very, very sexy and very interesting because things start to show up in nuanced ways. This isn't the you're necessarily having aha moments right now because you probably know you're already doing this. You are probably already aware that you see these cycles. For you, the frustration is, how do I get out of these cycles? How do I actually learn how to navigate these cycles so that on the outside, the external output in my business is consistent, even when internally I am not consistent? That's the work. And so when the comparison train comes in, when we start noticing those downward spirals because we've been comparing ourselves online, because we're seeing our coach besties do something fantastic and we find ourselves making ourselves lesser than for it, or when you find yourself comparing yourself to the likes of me, who is, by the way, 2-3 years ahead than you. And also, I also want to notice for those of you who maybe started at the same time as me, who may be certified with me, who maybe even certified or started their business before me, notice the nuance of where your brain is like, yeah, but really you should be further ahead because you've been in it longer. So this we're going to address because it shows up in so many different layers. And the brain, our brilliant brain, your brilliant brain, is so clever at saying, yeah, but. It's so clever at hearing one of my brilliant reasons why it should never be an issue, never be a problem, and why you should never compare yourself again. And then it's going to go, yeah, but. And it's going to give you the special snowflake syndrome, which means that, yeah, but she hasn't considered this. Yeah, but she hasn't quite factored in this very specific nuance that only I have. So therefore, her advice just isn't correct. And therefore, I can't move on. Therefore, I get to stay right here where I am, stuck in the comparison train because somehow it's serving me. Somehow, at a very subconscious level, it is giving me something that I actually need in order to stay exactly where I am so that I never have to do the big scary thing and learn how to move anyway. Learn how to recognize the power that within, which is so much greater than the power that wants to keep me small in this comparison. Notice that. And if your brain is a little bit stumped right now, good. I gotcha. I got your brain. Now step aside because I need to talk to the power within you. This is a conversation for me and your future self. This is a conversation for the version of you that knows that I'm on the freaking money right now and that where you want to get to doesn't have room for you to compare yourself the way it has done at the level that it has done in all the sneaky nuanced ways that it likes to, because it knows that where you're going doesn't have room for the level of comparison that you have been entertaining so far, even at the subconscious level, even though, of course, you haven't chosen this. And I want to acknowledge as well, this is awesome. I'm loving that this conversation is happening. The discomfort that you might be feeling, this level of, oh shit, she's talking to me right now. This is an opportunity for you to lean in. Don't lean away. This is an opportunity for you to step into the next level self-concept. This is what it looks like to be spoken to at the power that I know you have within you. I couldn't speak to you like this even a year ago on this podcast because that power that I am cultivating within me that stops me comparing, that stops comparison even being an option anymore, that power within me, I am transferring to you. Whether or not this feels uncomfortable, that's okay because you're practicing a new way of being right now. It is uncomfortable when you're stepping into a new version of you. It's okay if it feels a little bit unsteady. And for those of you that are listening to this feeling, oh my God, yes, I love this level of conversation. I actually really enjoy it. I used to feel uncomfortable at this level of conversation, but now my heart sings for it. Now I do lean in. Yes, I was leaning in. Yes, give me more. That means that this level of conversation is exactly the level of conversation that is going to take your business from where it is now to the next level. And if you're enjoying that, I just want you to contemplate. I'm going to drop the seed. Imagine what it's like when we get to work together and you get to have this level of conversation week by week. This is what growth looks like. This is what it feels like. So wherever you are in the uncomfortable, but I'm staying with the podcast, I'm not giving up, I'm not listening, I'm still here. I fucking celebrate you right now. This in and of itself, you staying in the discomfort and being willing to move through it and stay with it, that is growth. Those of you that don't feel any discomfort at all, but you're actually loving this energy, hello, welcome. Come grab a seat with me. You're in the right place. Let's carry on. So, I want to break down the 3 levels of discomfort that I identified as I was contemplating this concept. I noticed it came up. I wanted to ask myself, what is the difference? If I had to compare, ironically, and you'll see where comparison is incredibly useful, why it exists in a second, because it's not that we want to eradicate comparison fully, it's that we need to know how to harness it so that it serves us in a really beautiful way, because comparison has its value. But right now, if it's putting you into a negative spiral, it doesn't give you any value, it just keeps you small. When you know how to recognize and harness the beautiful power of comparison for good, that's when we can start to do good things. So, as I was consciously on purpose from an energy of love and service, asking myself, okay, what is the comparison between where I am now and where my client was when she came to me? What was the difference? I identified 3 stages of the comparison train. Stage 1 is detrimental, as in detrimental comparison. Okay. So stage 1, detrimental comparison. Stage 2 is useful comparison. And then step 3 is non comparison. So I'll be honest, at this stage, I sat down 3 hours ago and decided that this needs to be discussed. This was alive in me. I ran with it. If I sit with this longer, I'm certain I can come up with probably some better titles. If this was going to be like an actual written psychology case study, I would sit with the titles for a little bit longer. So just go with the intention of the descriptions of these titles. The titles in and of themselves, I recognize, are imperfect, but I'm not here for perfection. I'm here to transmute the power of the transformation. So let's work with the transformation of what I mean by these titles that are coming through. And as a side note, I want you to take that and recognize that the value is in the transmission of the information, not in the value of having a perfect title and having it all perfectly laid out. For those of you who are procrastinating on moving, on your programs, on titles of your groups, on titles for your podcast, on what to call your blog, what to call your email, don't let that shit stop you. Run with it. Let it be good enough. Trust that the magic is in the actual bulk of the value, not in a freaking title. Okay. So let's go back to the topic at hand. So detrimental comparison is the classic, the compare and despair, the being on the comparison train. And the reason why this isn't serving you is because it keeps you in your fear. It keeps you operating from your victim mentality. It keeps you in a, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. When am I ever going to get there? Will I ever get there? It doesn't put you in your power, it puts you in your fear. Anytime you're in your fear, you're working primarily from your emotional centers. You're working from your amygdala instead of working from your executive center. You're not able to access your power when you are operating from this place. So when you think you don't know what to say in your messaging and you decide, I'm going to go to social media and look for inspiration, and you find yourself scrolling on Instagram, or you find yourself going to your competitors on Pinterest, or you find yourself reading an email from one of the coaches that you follow, and then you read it. And then what happens, instead of having inspiration, you then go into a very, for me, when I feel comparison, it feels either like a contraction or it feels like a weight. It feels like I cannot move forward. Like I am stumped. Like the ideas I have are muted. The color goes down. I get dull. And the genius it's like a fog over my genius. Like I'm unable to find the wisdom, the magic that actually wants to come alive in me. The other thing that happens is, even when I am able to cultivate an idea and take that idea and then turn it into something that I can use to create with, it's now been shadowed by someone else's genius, because I'm no longer coming from a completely energetically clean place. I'm coming from a place of their voice, their words, their genius has now colored and tainted the genius that wants to come through me. So imagine it like dipping a paintbrush. You've got a palette, you don't know what to do with it, you've got these colors in front of you, you're not sure what to paint. So instead, you go to somebody else's palette, you go to somebody else's canvas, you look at you look at their art, you look at their creation, you look at their social media, and you go, okay, I'm going to take an idea from that. What you end up doing is taking your paintbrush and putting it into their water. The water from their used ideas gets transferred into your paintbrush, and then you're trying to paint on your clean canvas with dirty water. It's now tainted. You want to keep your ideas clean. You want to keep your ideas as your own. The ideas that are truly your own come from your own genius. They come from you living in breakthrough. So for my clients who are in the living in breakthrough experience, you living in breakthrough becomes your business breakthrough, because the bridge is turning your own breakthroughs into your marketing, not somebody else's breakthroughs, somebody else's creations, and then turning that into your marketing. Feel the difference in that. When you are operating from your genius, oh my gosh, the magic that comes alive in you, the transmissions that you have that come alive in you is everything. The transmission of today's episode came through me being in my own breakthrough, being in my own genius, where I'm serving my clients, where I'm seeing the breakthroughs that are happening in my life, and then giving you that transmission. I didn't see another coach talking about comparison thinking, I need to be talking about comparison. That didn't come from anyone else other than the breakthroughs that I was having. Notice when you are coming up with your ideas from other coaches instead of you coming up with ideas because of your own breakthroughs. Entirely different transmission, entirely different energy. And then what happens is that when you do take other people, well, it's not that you're taking other people's ideas, but when you are using comparison to become the fuel for your creations, you are molding yourself into them instead of molding yourself into yourself. Now, there are nuances to this, because in the absence of knowing how to stand truly in your power, of course, I'm never going to pretend that I am not a beautiful protege of all of the teachers that I've had, that you can see whispers of the teachers that I have had come through me and show through me. But I make a very real effort that whenever I have received inspiration from a teacher, whenever I have been in a training, in coaching, listening to a podcast, listening to a training that I've invested in, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I need to transmute this. I am really sitting in the energy of, what is my breakthrough here versus where am I just regurgitating information that I learned just now? Very different energy. For my clients who sometimes listening to my podcast and they go, I just want to make sure that I am stood on the right side of this. Come to me if you want any feedback, or if you want to discuss the embodiment that's happening and the way that your brain is approaching this, because it is very nuanced. Now, one of the biggest risks when we are in detrimental comparison, and this for me is the biggie, is that you prevent your clients surpassing your success when you do this. Because when you are in the energy of comparison, when you are in the energy of making yourself lesser than or better than, from the energy of ego, from the energy of hierarchy, then you are also transmuting that energy to your clients. That level of embodiment isn't what your clients want to be paying you for. That for me is the biggest issue with this. Of course, I want this for yourself. I want you to have the breakthrough, to be living in breakthrough, to be in a level of comparison where it's not even comparison. Because the risk is, when you are in a level of detrimental comparison, where you find that you are moving through life, navigating the growth of your business at a level of she's better than me. I'm not good enough. What has she got that I don't have? When am I ever going to get there? What is she doing that I'm not doing? How can I copy her? What is it that she's doing that I'm not doing, and making yourself really feel like shit for it? You are unbeknowingly and very unconsciously showing that energy to your clients. Because if that's the energy that you're creating from, and then your clients are seeing your posts and then going, she's the coach for me, and they decided that you're the coach for her or him based on that energy, you're probably not attracting clients who are going to be able or going to be ready for the level of transformation that you really want to be talking about. Your clients are probably going to be in that place of, oh God, what do I do? And then because you're sat there thinking, oh God, that's me, you're not actually able to serve them. And I think this, for me, is one of the biggest parts of embodiment that is such a double edged sword. For me, anytime, because I'm not perfect. So I want you just to be very, very careful of the comparison that you may fall into right this second. Anytime that a client comes to me and she comes to me with, or he comes to me with something, and I'm secretly thinking, holy fuck, I am doing this in my own business and I need to step up my game. That for me is integrity. Integrity is the way that we get out of detrimental comparison. So powerful. Integrity is the way that we get out of detrimental comparison. Why? Because when we are in detrimental comparison, I want you to remember, if I was fully in integrity of what I stand for, what I believe in, what I want to show my clients about who I am, what I'm capable of, and therefore what they are capable of, and where they get to go and the transformations they get to have, it forces you to level up your game. So anytime a client comes to me and says, oh God, I'm not feeling in integrity, I'm not feeling like I am worthy of clients because enter the ways that they're not operating in integrity in their own life, then I say, good, good, because you don't want to stay there. If you're not in integrity in your own life, then that's an invitation to up level. It's an invitation to lean in, not go into, oh, but I just want to feel better so that what you can continue to not be and do the thing that you stand for so that people can just hire you for what? It's a good thing when you notice the ways that you are out of integrity, because that is never a problem. It is simply an invitation for you to step into integrity, to step up and be the coach, be the man, be the woman who owns the transformation that you are showing up online and talking about, who owns the transformation of what is possible for them. Good. May the up level come to you. May you be invited to continue to grow, to continue to recognize the ways that you have accidentally slipped into not living in integrity, so that you can continue to be the kind of coach that people go, holy shit, she's not just talking the talk. He's not just talking the talk. They are walking the fucking walk, and I can see it day in, day out. That's the difference. Never be afraid of not living in integrity. When you notice it, the real thing you should fear is, am I choosing to stay in this? That's when it becomes a problem. But when you choose to step out of it, when you choose to step up and go, okay, fine. My client came to me with something and I'm realizing that I'm doing exactly the same thing right now. Don't make it a problem. Make it the opportunity for you to step up and remind yourself why they chose you as their coach. So that's detrimental comparison. Let's look at useful comparison. So this was the shift for me that started happening 2 years ago. And I've noticed over the course of the last 2 years, where now that you know what this looks like, now that you can see, okay, red flag, I'm seeing the comparison happen. I'm feeling the sinking in my shoulders. I'm feeling like I'm out of integrity in my coaching and I need to step it up a game. Now I want you to notice, and this is how I want you to operate from this moment on. Whenever you notice it's happening, whenever you see yourself going into the comparison train, okay? Useful comparison. This is what's going to happen before you just stop comparing yourself and you realize that actually the ways that you're not even comparing yourself get to be a story one day, just like it is for me right now. Useful comparison is when you can look at somebody and go, ooh, that's hot. That's sexy. What is she doing? What is he doing? And how can I bring that into my business? What are they doing? And where can I find the evidence that I already embody those qualities? And where do I need to reconnect to that? That's the bridge. This is transformation right here. Okay. So rewind that and write those two questions down. Those are the questions that you want to come back to anytime that you find yourself on the comparison train. Take it out of the detrimental comparison and into useful comparison. If you do this alone, you will change. If you know that you do not have the self awareness yet, or if you know that you do it a little bit of the time and you want support doing it more of the time and actually embodying this and letting it be one of your core breakthroughs to really look at all of your peers, all of your biz besties, the men and women that you absolutely adore, that speak a language that you didn't even know existed until you found coaching, that make you feel a sense of belonging that you have been looking for all your life. That you want to look at these people that you admire. You want to look at their success and go, wow, that's possible for me too one day. If they can do it, I can do it. If she's doing it, then I'm going to get there too as well. It's possible for me. If you want to get into that energy and you know that you just can't quite trust yourself to get there yet, then you're going to love working with me because this is what I help my clients do on a daily. This is when they come to the table. When my client came to me a couple of weeks ago saying, this is going on, this is where we took it into this arena of useful comparison. And from identifying that useful comparison, then we take that embodiment, because as ever, we start with embodiment. And when it comes to the weekly coaching sessions, it comes, and even in the in-between session Voxer support, we take it into the embodiment level, identifying the embodiment, the opportunity that's there to be had. And then with my coaching process, I support them to identify the ways that they can start implementing that in their business. So we take something that went from negative spiral, a money depleting spiral, into something that actually helps them become their breakthrough. It's so magical to see it unfold. And in time, as you embody this useful comparison, you start to step into your CEO embodiment. You leave behind this employee mindset, this comparison way of thinking, and you really start to become embodied as the CEO, as the coach of choice, as the person that your clients will want to hire because of how you navigate things just like this. In time, you end up where I realize that I am today. You end up in this place where non-comparison is just where you're at, where you see another woman or another guy reaching the level of releasing a program that you literally have with exactly the same title, with many of the same components, and there is not 1 ounce of your body that doesn't think that there's not room for both of you, because there is. That doesn't want to do anything but celebrate her, that doesn't want to do anything but look at what they're doing and go, fuck, that's amazing. And create nothing in your body in the context of, I don't need to change a thing. I don't need to compare. I don't need to contrast. I don't need to worry. I don't need to defend. I don't need to offend. I just get to be in celebration of them. I get to enjoy them. Yeah. So notice with messaging mastery, yeah, you can purchase it anytime. I'm not currently promoting it. The last live round that I did finished months ago. It currently isn't on my radar to launch yet. If I was on the comparison train, I probably would have gone, oh shit, she's copied me. I possibly would have compared the websites or the landing pages. I probably would have looked at what she was doing and been like, oh, what do I need to be doing? Oh, should I be doing this? Oh, has she said it in a way that's better than me? I possibly would have been like, oh God, well, I need to launch mine again, or take some of our ideas so that I can, when I go to launch mine, I can do it again. That shit wouldn't doesn't cross didn't cross my mind. It just isn't there. It just doesn't exist. It has had no impact on my strategy. I'm just I continue to do what I was doing. It's just become a story to tell because of the way that it seemed to come around, and I'm thinking, huh, interesting. And it's also interesting because in my coaching this morning with one of my clients, she was saying to me, how do you always find shit to talk about? Like, how is it that you never run out of things to say? And living in breakthrough, as I mentioned earlier, is that recognizing the breakthroughs. Because I was going to swear, I'll try not to swear. Here's the thing that really will blow your mind. When you are truly in embodiment, when you're truly embodied in your transformation, it actually takes you a hot second to recognize what's changed. It really takes a couple of things to fall into place, and for you to say, oh, this is a story worth telling. Oh, this is something my clients might care about. Oh, this is something my clients have gone through and are going through. This is something that my client came to me with, and I went through that. And now this is how I navigate it. And that's why this is a story worth telling. That's why this has become a story worth telling. So I want you to recognize that as well and see that how this is happening in your business every single day. Live the breakthroughs, let them become the stories that are worth telling, so that you get to this stage of non-comparison and it just becomes celebration. And I also want to offer for you that something that really, really hit me, because I was also thinking to myself, why was comparison so big for me back then? And why isn't it now? And I think it's a hypothesis, and I would love to hear from you. If you come from a corporate background, or not even corporate per se, but from a workplace where you have worked up the career ladder, where you have ever, and as soon as I say this, you're going to think, oh my gosh, that's exactly it. But I want you just to reflect for a second. In your career, have you ever had the opportunity of going for a bonus, an opportunity, a promotion, a job, and there was only room for one? That you go into that interview room and you can see a line of 6 people, and they're all gunning for the same lucrative spot, where there's an opportunity to hang out with the boss, or to present, or to take the lead, or to own a project, or to raise your hand. There's only room for one. It is inherent in the corporate culture. It is inherent in the workplace, because there is generally only room for one. It is systemic in the way that corporations work. It has to be. Very rarely did I ever go for promotion and there was room for two. Interestingly, very, very interestingly, and I'll give you a very interesting example from my own corporate career. One of the bigger promotions that I ever had, which was now about 7 years ago, my first step into management. Basically, at the time in my team, there was me and my colleague Ben. I love Ben. Ben is Ben. I haven't changed his name. He's literally called Ben. And I normally change my names when I'm giving stories of things. And we were both senior consultants. And traditionally, there was only one managing consultant in the team. We both knew that there was room for promotion this year. We both were neck and neck when it came to revenue and the amount of money we were bringing into the company. We were both gunning for promotion. We are both polar opposites. Honestly, we couldn't be any more different if you tried. We were chalk and cheese, and that's why we actually worked really well together, why we brought such good leadership into the team. And my boss, my managing director, so we were a very small company, so there weren't many layers to the hierarchy. My boss took me aside into a meeting one day and said to me, Pamella, just so you know, over the next 6 months, we are going to be looking at making some promotions. There will be what was my title? Managing consultant. There will be room for a managing consultant in the team. And if you hit your targets, if we see these certain like measures of success, these certain KPIs, know that we're watching and you've got lots of opportunity to really step up and claim it. I was buzzing. I was so happy. She basically told me, here's the carrot, come and take it. It was there for the taking. What she didn't say, and I don't know if this was intentional, if she even knew that we were thinking this way. What she didn't say is that there is room for both of you. Maybe there even wasn't. Maybe that was always the plan. But I also knew that the only other senior consultant in the team at the time was Ben. So in my mind, I made it mean that there's only room for one of us to get this promotion. Now, 6 months later, interestingly, they ended up promoting both of us. But we didn't know that. I don't know if he knew that. I don't think we ever had the discussion. I certainly didn't have the awareness to have the discussion at the time. But I know for a fact it never dawned on me to clarify if there was room for the top, for both of us at the top. It never dawned on either of us to collaborate. We went at it like competition. Now, the irony, because we were in the same team, for us, competition required collaboration and we did become a really good team. And maybe that is why we both ended up getting promoted. Who knows? But all I do know is that inherently, there is traditionally, when it comes to promotion, it's you against everyone else in the team. It's you, and your job is to make yourself the best, to make yourself indisposable. I bet you've heard that, right? Like make yourself indisposable to your employer and then they can never sack you, they can never make you redundant, they can never get rid of you. Now, I bet you, I can guarantee at least one of my listeners, maybe it's you, have gone into your career with that level of loyalty, that mentality that I am going to make myself indisposable. You work harder, you stay later, you go above and beyond, you make sure that you're indisposable, and that company goes and betrays your loyalty. They make you redundant anyway. They go and promote some other fucker anyway, and it breaks your heart. Has that ever happened to you? If it has, let me know in the DMs. I want to hear your story. Maybe this is part of your story to tell. Maybe this is part of your breakthrough experience right this second, to recognize that this energy of comparison, this what do you call it? This this systemic culture of comparison that is inherent to workplaces cannot sustain us and cannot support us when we are in the game of transformational coaching and leadership for our people. It just doesn't work for all of the reasons that I listed at the beginning of this episode. So the biggest employee to CEO mindset shift that I can give you is to recognize the ways, even especially for those of you who are still in a workplace and you're in the 9 to 5 and you want to be full time and you know that we're going to be working together, if not now, pretty damn soon to get you to full time. One of the very subtle embodiment things that we're going to be looking at shifting, that if you can do in the workplace as well as in your coaching business, is to step out of the energy of comparison, of at least detrimental comparison, and into the energy of useful comparison, of there is no hierarchy, removing the hierarchy, recognizing the humanity, the soul within each of your colleagues, within each of your peers, within each of your coach besties and your business BFFs, seeing that there is no hierarchy, that you're all at a level, and that there is opportunity for everybody at the top, that when they rise, you rise, that everything that is happening around you is an opportunity for you to step deeper into your embodiment, to be more in integrity for what you stand for. That when you see someone stay late, that when you see someone go above and beyond, that when you see someone take a promotion that should have been yours, take an opportunity that could have been yours, that you think to yourself, wow, okay, how do I want to operate in this way? How do I get to be embodied in this way? How can I turn this detrimental comparison into something useful? How do I recognize that this is an opportunity for me to step up or for me to let it go, to change course, to redirect, to just stop comparing, to just turn off the channel and not continue on that train? Then notice how much changes. And if you want to do this together, if you want this level of somebody to pick up on the blind spots, to pick up the ways that you might be very subtly comparing yourself and actually turn it into something useful, and then in time, turning it into something embodied, because you recognize ultimately, and this is where I am now, fully embodied, recognizing that the only comparison I need is who I was yesterday, that the only comparison I need is where I am and where I get to go. And that isn't even comparison, but that's just natural inspiration, allowing, integrity, honoring, celebrating. That's doing the inner work of healing my sister wounds, healing from the employee mindset that I was indoctrinated in for the majority of my career, healing my enoughness, healing my self-worth, and continuing to do the inner work and making sure that I'm in rooms that allow me to do that, and investing into coaches that help me do that when I know that I'm at a limit of doing it myself. That is what it looks like when you are in a place of non-comparison. So if you want to come do this work together, if you want me as your coach to help you pick up on that, then book your consult today and let's discuss where your business is going, where you are now. I'm going to be picking up all those ways that maybe you're in unuseful comparison and detrimental comparison. And I'm going to be working with you over the next 6 months to get those business foundations in place so that as you go and implement those business foundations, as you go and sign those clients, you are stepping into that process of detrimental comparison into useful comparison, into the joy of non-comparison, and truly stepping into a coach of choice, the coach of integrity, and the coach of non-comparison, because it is a beautiful place to be. The link is in the show notes. I cannot wait to connect with you, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye.